Okay, what's up, guys? So here's the deal. You've gone out, you've got yourself a new cinema camera, you've got some good lenses for it, maybe, and you've been hired to shoot some projects. But when you get home and you look at the footage, it just doesn't look right. It just doesn't look like it's got that punch. It's got that look that you're seeking, based on the inspiration images that you look at, the movies that you look at, the commercials that you look at, and you're like, why doesn't my stuff look like that? So, in today's video, first off, I'm trying to get out of the house today. It is cloudy and rainy. I'm kind of sick of being in this office. So, we're going to take the Pyxis 12K out, and I might even shoot part of this video on the 12K. I'm thinking I'm going to try out the 4K, as I finally got the 12K without banding on it. So, but in this video, that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give you a few tips on what I would do if you're put in a position where you don't have full control over the image. You don't have a set and a crew and lighting and all the things, but you still want your images to look better and get closer to those images that you're trying to create. But first, I got to put this camera together. I used it on a shoot recently. We had PL lenses. I'm going to try to take the PL lenses off, maybe put on my Thypoch lenses, and we'll get out of this house. So, I'm realizing now I didn't do my opening bit. So if you're new to the channel, I'm Spencer Sakurai. I've been a cinematographer for the last 15 years, and I've shot for brands like Adidas, T-Mobile, ESPN, Google. I've shot for Leon Bridges, and I've shot 2 full-length feature films. So, welcome if you're new here. I switched this microphone. I thought I would be cool and have the headphones in and use my iPhone, and so I didn't have to worry about this. But guess what? It sounded like shit. So, okay, so you've got your new camera. You're shooting something that you don't have a lot of control of. Maybe it's like an event, or maybe it's a quick social video. And you get it home and you look at it and you're like, why doesn't this look good enough? So the first tip, the first thing that you need to look for is, what is your intention? So did you go into it thinking, I'm just going to capture the moment? I'm just going to try to find something with my composition that looks kind of cool in the moment? Or did you kind of have some ideas going into it? These are questions you need to be asking yourself. Did you have an idea? Did you like look up some inspiration? Did you think about the location at all? Did you think about where the light was coming from? So the main thing here is going to be your intention. It's the main thing that you want to be thinking about when going out to get a good frame. These things do not happen by accident. And so when I say intention, yeah, you're like, ideally, I can control the set, but that's not the situation that I'm in. So what are the things that you can control? So the first thing that I would look for would be depth. The depth in the room. Maybe you had your subjects up too close to the wall, or maybe you didn't have them out in like the center of the room, or maybe you're just working in a small space. But this is like one thing that you can quickly try to influence. Like, oh, look for a subject in the room that has depth. Like they are farther away from the background. Or, maybe you can shoot towards, maybe you're outside, you don't want to shoot up against, a building. Can you shoot where there's a lot more space in the background? What that's going to do is going to create separation. Regardless of what lens you're shooting on, if you're shooting shallow depth of field or not, it's going to help push everything away and give you that 3D pop. All right, let's boot this thing up. Probably turn this thing around so I can actually see what's going on here. I'm gonna need an ND for this, but I'm using the filter ring on this camera. It needs to go in there to make it work. But let's pop this baby into 4K. I don't know if you guys can see that. We'll do open gate, because that's fun. I don't know, 4:1 compression ratio. All right, let me swap this ND on there, and I'll start talking from this camera here. But while we're here, let's talk about, we're gonna try to create some depth out here, right? Look at all this, I'm outside now. I'm far away from the houses. So I'm gonna put my subject, me, out here to have that depth. The thing I've found about this camera is that it's like 1,000 degrees off on white balance compared to like my Monstro or like the Venice. Now, just because I'm shooting 21 millimeters doesn't mean you need to be shooting 21 millimeters. I just wanted to see what this looked like on open gate. So you can see what I'm talking about here. Depth. Now, speaking of focal lengths, this is the next thing. I bet if you're put in these positions, you're shooting on a zoom lens. Now, here's the thing about zoom lenses. They kind of become crutches. You are being reactive to the moment with a zoom lens. You are like, I'm far away from that subject. I want to capture it real quick. You zoom in. Now, this has its benefits. That's why zoom lenses exist. You know, you're using autofocus, you got the zoom lens, you're popping in there to get the shot. But what if and even if y'all, it's windy out here. Even if you have a zoom lens, you want to treat it like a prime lens. Try it next time. Like, what if you could just, instead of zooming in on the subject, you just walked in on the subject. Treat it like, pick your favorite focal length. Maybe it's 35 millimeter. And then you want to just bring your camera in closer, which creates more intimacy, like this. Instead of just zooming in and being reactive to what's going on. And this helps with the depth thing too. So if you're like on a wider lens like this, and you push it in on a subject, they're going to be pushed farther away from the background. That's just how focal lengths work. So the wider the focal length, the more it's going to push your subject or your background away from the subject, right? But if you zoom in, if you got one of those 24 to 70s, you zoom in, you're actually going to bring that background closer to them, and it's going to make them feel farther away. It's going to get rid of your depth, etc. So tip number 2 is treat your lenses like prime lenses, or only shoot on prime lenses, because what prime lenses do, they give you a box, they give you a constraint, and it makes you have to think with intention. So then you think, well, what if I don't have the depth? Well, that's where that wide lens can come in. Or can you influence the image a little bit? Can you just pick the subject in the room that's not up against the wall? Or can you bring someone farther away from the wall? Or maybe you're shooting food. Well, don't put them up on the table right by the wall. I know that the colors of the wall might look nice, but can you put them in a table that's in the center of the room? Right? These are these little things that you can be doing. Maybe you're not working with a full crew like how I normally work on my sets, and you don't have that ability yet, but try to influence the image anyways, right? But you can see here, I put on the 75 millimeter and we're open gate, and I've turned the camera this way towards these houses. And every time you turn farther towards the corner, you're going to open up that background even more. When you're shooting flat into a wall, you actually lose parallax, you lose layers. So by doing it this way, by pointing it over there, you're going to get this line of houses, right? So even though I have this long lens on, if I point the camera the right direction, I can add some more depth to the frame. I have no idea if I'm in focus. Am I in focus here? Or here? And obviously shooting a little bit more shallow helps too, because if I did this, so this is 5.6, it's like, it's a different vibe, right? Like, I'm probably in focus more, less separation, but you do get to see more in the background, so that's just a storytelling tool. Oops, someone just signed up for the DP Mindset. That's exciting. The next thing we can consider is lighting, right? So maybe you walk into a room and you are setting up a composition you like, but at some point, what I started doing is I started thinking less about the composition and thinking about where was the light coming from, and then working my composition with that. Because at the end of the day, the most pop you're going to get is going to come from the lighting. So like right now, it's a little bit cloudy out, it's partly cloudy, but I'm backlit mostly. The sun is behind me, right? So if you're in a room and where's the sun, like try to find where the sun is coming from. Is it coming from a window? Is it coming from a light source above? Can you try to shoot into the shadow side of your subject? Like, I know you're running and gunning, you're trying to capture the moment, you're not worrying about these things, you're trying to get it, but if you can influence the image, can you find a way to get on that shadow side, and then try to find, like, oh, does this also have the shadow side and the depth? Ooh, am I shooting at 35 millimeters? So I've got like kind of a nice focal length. These are the things that you start to stack on top of each other, right? So I could have driven to this park and I could have just been up against a house or up against like the gazebo. I could have had the light hitting me in the front, but instead I put the light behind me. I put some depth between me and the background, right? These start to stack. Start to think about where that natural light's coming from. Maybe there's some soft kind of lighting coming from a window. Well, maybe, maybe pick the person in the room that's over there that has a nice light coming in on their face and has a little bit of a shadow side to create that 3D pop. And so this kind of comes back to like maybe the main thing we're talking about here, the next point, which is try to have influence over the image. So all of these kind of fit in line with that. Like, do you have to be reactive and do you have to just capture the moment? Or can you get in there and influence it? I think it's hard at first. You're kind of shy. You don't want to move people around, dictate things. But what you'll find, the more that you have control, the more that you're designing the image, the more you're starting to move from videographer to cinematographer. And you're starting to get images that start to look better, right? They're getting closer. You're bridging that gap from where you are now and the images that actually inspire you and what got you in this in the first place, right? So control the image as much as you can. And I don't take this lightly. I take this very seriously, even on my productions, right? When I've got the full crew, a director, creative, I still try to do my best to control what I can in the image to ultimately make it look like the best thing for my portfolio, right? Always trying to help the story and the creative and get to what the director wants, but how can I also tweak as many variables that they'll allow me to make the best image possible. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. Don't be afraid to get in there and actually make something that you want to make. And so that's when like you start acting like a DP. You're being less reactive and you're being more intentional. Think like a DP even if you don't have a crew. So if you feel like you're in this role, the videographer role, and you want to be more in that kind of cinematographer position, the director of photography position, you want to start designing the image rather than being reactive and just trying to capture the moment, then you should come join my community. It's called the DP Mindset. I'm in there every day. I show up every day to help people that are trying to make that transition. I've got a full course in there. It's 18 lessons going through my entire workflow as a cinematographer. I think you'll really enjoy it. I think it's really fun. I'm just trying to grow that this year. So come hang out with us. We do weekly live Q&As. You get a free color grade when you enter. And then after you've learned all the fundamentals, come with me into my coaching program and I'll walk you through the steps to actually positioning yourself in your market as a cinematographer so you can go out there and get more aligned projects, the ones that you actually want to shoot. Okay, that's it for me in this video, guys. I'm Central Sakurai. As always, peace.